Hi, my name is Megan Shreve, and I'm the CEO of South Central Community Action Programs. For those of you who know us, you probably know us as SCCAP. For those of you who don't know us, I want to tell you a little bit about the important programs that we run in Adams and Franklin County, and about our Million Reasons to Give an endowment campaign for SCCAP, and why we've started this endowment campaign, and how you can make a forever gift to support us. First, SCCAP administers a whole host of programs, from programs that work at the community level to programs that work at the individual family level. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about these as the program continues. First, it's important to know we do two kinds of work. First, we work with individual families. For some, that's just a little bit of help. So they might need a little bit of support with childcare so they can work. For other people, their life has run into a difficult space. They may be staying at our homeless shelter. They may be getting services through our reentry program. They may need long-term stability work. So our Circles program, our family services, those things help families be able to build a better future, to change the trajectory of their life and their children's lives. And the second type of work that we do is at the community level. We work on initiatives like At Home in Adams County, Franklin Together, our Gleaning Initiative, and support circles. You'll hear a little bit more of those as we go on. But that work is informed by our work with families. We identify the barriers that families are bumping into, and then we work to make changes at the community and system level. And we do that with partners and the families that we serve. It's exciting work, and working together at both of those ways, the micro level with families and the macro level at the community and system level, help us get the best outcomes for families and serve more families long term. So I wanted to talk first a little bit about our food pantry and gleaning program. You'll see a picture of our gleaning initiative in this. Our gleaning program goes out after the harvest, and we, with a host of volunteers, we have about 500 volunteers that help us. We go out after the harvest and we bring in whatever produce is left, and we make that available to food insecure families all across our community. We do this in both Adams and Franklin counties, and we work with about 31 farms in Adams County, 37 in Franklin County. And last year, combined with our pantries and our gleaning initiative, we brought in more than 1 million pounds of food. So our gleaning initiative has a produce stand in each county, especially during the growing season, where families, anyone who's food insecure can come and get produce. They can come any day that we're open. This is not a government program, so there's no paperwork. If you need food, you can come get it. And then in each county, we also have pantries. So food pantries that we work with. In Gettysburg and Chambersburg, SCCAP actually manages those two pantries. And then we work with partner pantries all across the county. And those food pantries work with the state food program and with community donations. And people can come once a month and get enough food for about 4 to 5 days. That helps them to fill that food gap. Those initiatives are really important, and probably the largest client services program that we have. We serve about 16,000 families through gleaning or our food pantries, so it's really important. And you should know the gleaning initiative actually started, Jan and Jerry Altoff in Adams County started that initiative, amazing people. And they started it after going on some mission trips. They wanted to do something locally, and so they came back, and Jerry had gotten an ad about a gleaning initiative. He had a business doing landscaping and had a lot of community partners that he worked with, knowing producers. And so he started just collecting the leftover produce. And after a few years, it got to be too big. What a wonderful problem to have. And so Jan and Jerry met with us to see if SCCAP would take it over. And we did. It's an important community initiative. It's an unfunded initiative, but it's really important. For us, we found that as families are working their way out of poverty, the first issue that impacts them is they lose supports from food pantries and from SNAP or food stamp benefits. And so sometimes For families who are working their way out of poverty, when they don't have enough food to feed their families, they'll go back onto government supports, and it kind of stops their forward progress. And so the Gleaning Initiative is a great community solution to filling that gap. In fact, it takes a community resource that we have. I mean, Adams and Franklin County have so much produce. We have so many generous farmers, backyard gardeners. It takes that amazing community resource, and it solves a community problem, food insecurity. And so we're excited about this initiative. It's a great place to volunteer if you are an individual or a family. It gets you out in the sunshine. It connects you with the earth. It gets you out of isolation so you can spend some time with others. So both our food pantries and our Gleaning Initiative are really important to the work that we do in Adams and Franklin County and to the families we serve. In both counties, we also have a homeless shelter. In Adams County last year, we served 72 families. It's primarily a family shelter. Those upper two pictures are pictures from that shelter. We have small family rooms and large family rooms, and we actually have a children's space because we usually have more kids at our shelter than we have adults. And so it's really important. It's been tough during COVID because we can't have them in shared spaces, only when their family can be in there individually, but really important to have that space where a kid can just be a kid. Franklin County, we serve primarily single adults, and last year we served 101 households. The average number of folks, percentage of folks who move into permanent housing is 76%. And we have about a 5 to 7 return to homelessness rate in 2 years. Those are just two of the measures that we use. Our goal is that folks don't have to ever be homeless again. So we work to get them stably housed, and then we work on the barriers that cause them to be homeless in the first place. So helping families be on a better trajectory is really important. That family in the bottom right picture are doing great today. They and their kids are doing wonderful. They just needed some help getting over a difficult time, and now they're thriving. Our support circles is another really important initiative that works towards long-term stability. And this is also a not funded program, just like our shelter and our Gleaning and pantries. So no government funding comes to our circles initiative, but it's an initiative that really, it doesn't provide a service like our childcare supports or food. It really provides protected time and space for a family to create a plan on how they want to move out of poverty. We've found this initiative when in Ames, Iowa. It was a program when we were looking for what actually helped people move completely out of poverty. And it's been really exciting. We've learned more from the experiences we've had in circles than probably any other initiative, because you're really walking alongside a family on their journey out of poverty. You can see in the bottom picture, there's a mental model, and folks create a mental model when they're first in circles. They spend quite a bit of time really thinking about their experiences. And you can see in this particular one, Angie created a mental model that shows her reality. She's just a case number. She's a number in social services book. That's the way she feels seen. She feels chained and stuck. She feels like people are judging her and laughing at her, and she wants something better for her and her family. On the left-hand side, she created her dream world, and you can see that she has a house. She has her own business. You can see there's, if you can see that there's the word agency is written in a circle, and she has a line through it. And that's the truth. I mean, we hear from families all the time that they are deeply appreciative of the help that we provide. It makes a difference for them in being stable and being able to take care of their kids. But it's never easy to work with social services. And while we've tried really hard to reduce barriers, there are just guidelines that have to be followed. And most people that we work with want to be doing this on their own. It's just when you're stuck in poverty, it's really hard to claw your way out. Angie today is doing so much better. It was really important to her that her daughter, Dakari, graduates, and that she not have a child before she graduated. She wanted to break that cycle in her life, which she accomplished. And she now has her own business, Serenity Baskets, which is doing really well. Karen in our upper right-hand picture is actually our statewide self-sufficiency award winner this year. And she's standing in front of her house. So she has an amazing story that we'll be sharing more about in the coming weeks, but she worked really hard to create a future story for her and her family. She'd always worked and worked really hard, but she felt stuck. And so coming to Circles gave her the protected time and space with people who understood the journey out of poverty. And she could create a plan. She really worked that plan, and she was able to get out of debt, improve her credit score, be able to buy a house. And so she's working full time, and she also has a business on the side. So well done, Karen. And that's just an example. People have incredible capabilities, but when you're stuck in poverty with your head down, really just working to try and make it through, you don't always have the time and space, the resources, the mental and emotional resources to think about, how do I get myself out of this? And if you can create a future story and then we can provide appropriate support on that journey, people can do incredibly well. And so that's part of the important work that we do. This is our family services and rental assistance. This program was really created due to COVID. Many of the funding streams that come from the federal government or the state come in silos. So you might get, in fact, during COVID, we've had about 8 different funding streams for rental and utility assistance. And it's really difficult, especially when a family is in crisis, for them to have to apply to each of those funding sources in order to get assistance. So we pulled together, we really regrouped. We knew this was going to be difficult for families, especially low-wage earners. And so we pulled together family services staff. We trained them across multiple funding streams. That allowed us to be able to have a family apply for one set of funding, one application, and we could figure out what other funding streams might they be eligible for. And we could create packages that actually helped them. And so we've been able to help 1,956 families. The average amount that we were helping with is $4,262. That's for rent and utilities. And if you can imagine during COVID, for low wage earners, especially those in the service industry, restaurants particularly hit. We had some truck drivers that were particularly hit. And we've had a lot of folks who are middle class, where one individual in the household had to stop working, either because their kids were being schooled virtually or because they lost hours. And so people fell behind. And for some folks, they fell behind in a significant number of months. Digging yourself out of that hole when you're a low-wage earner is nearly impossible. And the homeless system simply can't accommodate more folks. And so keeping someone housed, not having an eviction on their record, getting them over this crisis of COVID was really important. That not only helps a family stay housed, it helps the landlord be whole, it improves the economic development in our communities, and it gets people back to work, and that's what we found. So we've been able to help with rent and utility assistance in more than $6 million across our service area, which is pretty amazing. And there's a quote from a landlord in Franklin County. She said, "When I told my children how we were working with SCCAP to help families pay back rent so they could stay in their homes, they said, 'Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Help each other when things get tough?' It's true. And I don't know what we would have done in this community if SCCAP had not stepped into the gap. They helped families, they helped landlords, and together we kept families in their homes." We're really proud of the work that we did here, and we're really proud of the way we were able to adapt so quickly. Having discretionary funding, we had some funding certainly from local donors to help us, and federal and state dollars. The Adams County Community Foundation, United Way in Franklin County, also the Rotary Club of Gettysburg, all gave discretionary funds earmarked towards helping get families back on their feet. That made so much difference for us. I remember we had a family who was about to lose their car. She was starting a new job the next week. So her car was going to be repossessed because she hadn't been able to make payments. We were able to pay the car payments that she was behind, 3 of them, so her car wasn't repossessed so she could go to work. There's not government funding for that. And so having funding to be able to help meet a particular need, discretionary funding to meet a particular need that overcomes a barrier for a family is really critical. And that's part of the reason why the Million Reasons to Give, the endowment campaign for SCCAP, is so important. Having a continuous stream of funds that are discretionary, which means we can use it for innovation. We can use it to serve families, to meet needs for folks that government funding might not meet. Is just really critical. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. SCCAP also administers the weatherization program, and that program actually works in Adams and Franklin counties, our primary counties, but it also works in Cumberland, Dauphin, and York counties. And we've helped families, 165 families in Franklin County, 121 families in Adams County, and then 243 families in our other counties. And it's a pretty scientific process. We put a blower door on the front door, and we try and we identify where the house is losing energy, and then we're able to remediate that. That not only reduces energy use, which is great for all of us, but for low wage earners, and especially for seniors on a fixed income, which is the primary population that we serve with weatherization, it can save them 20% on their utility bill and keep them warmer in winter and cooler in summer. And that enables a lot of older folks to be able to age in place. So weatherization is really critically important, and it's another piece of helping people be able to stabilize and do well. We also administer the Women, Infants, and Children's Supplemental Nutrition Program. That's called WIC. So that's what many of you would know us as, and that serves pregnant women and children to the age of 5. It has a return on investment of $2.48 for every dollar spent. We serve about 2,533 families, more than 6,000 participants in Adams and Franklin County. And this is a picture of our front building. During COVID, it was really important. Families still had to come in to be able to load benefits on their smart card. But we wanted to keep them safe, them and their children safe. And so we were able to do all of the educational process, some of the screening processes via Zoom or on the phone. And then, so families only had to come in to load their card. And so they could do that through our front window. They didn't have to come in the building. They didn't have to risk exposure. They could just meet their family's needs. And that's, again, we try our best to be able to be adaptive to the needs of our families. We want our families to do well, and our staff really care about them. The Early Learning Resource Center offers childcare subsidies. You might have known us as CCIS, or Child Care Information Services, in the past. That name has been shifted, and we assist 800 to 1,200 children per year with childcare costs. So this is for working families. And what happens is a working family will apply, and if they're eligible, they pay a copay. That copay is paid to the childcare provider, and then we pay the remainder, and we pay that directly to the childcare provider. That allows folks to be able to work. Childcare can be incredibly expensive for low wage earners. Having reliable, high quality programs not only benefits their kids, which it does. In fact, the return on investment for quality early childhood is 7 to 10% per year for the future of that child. But it also enables a parent to work. If you're having to piecemeal together childcare or rely on a family or friend who may have the best of intentions but may not need to be reliable, a family worker, an employee will lose their job because they don't have adequate childcare. And so this prevents an issue from happening. It allows folks to get to work consistently. Their kids are taken care of in high quality programming. And families are able to not only work now, but to improve their earning capability because they're able to move up in their employment. So this is, again, another important piece of the puzzle of helping families to stabilize. As a family increases their income, their copay increases, and the amount that we pay decreases. In Adams County, we have the MLK Career Aid Project, and this provides scholarships to adults in Adams County. Typically, we help 7 to 20 individuals per year. Sometimes it's used at HAC, so we have training programs, or it can also be used for 4-year education. Those grants are smaller, typically 500 to 1,000, but they help fill important gaps. And these grants are provided to adults that are working on skill training or education that improves their employability. And we've seen this radically change people's lives, being able to get appropriate training, whether it's for medical personnel to be able to do medical assistance in offices or the mechatronics program, or going to school and improving their education has enabled a lot of people to move up in their jobs and improve their earning potential. So it's just another piece of the puzzle that helps families do better on their journeys in Adams and County. I told you a little bit about working at the system level, and at home in Adams County is another example of that. This initiative was formed to address the ongoing issues of severe shortages of affordable housing, having good transportation options, and working on economic development, and trying to figure out how we could improve stagnant wages across Adams County. This has been a really important project to raise awareness to some of the issues. We want Adams County to be a thriving place forever. And so improving, making sure we have access to affordable housing across the board, from low wage earners to middle-class folks, is really important. Adams County has a housing shortage. It's really hard to find affordable housing, rentals, or even to purchase housing. So looking for housing options. We're working on a shared housing project with the Office for Aging, as well as a mother-in-law suite called Echo. Those are some important housing options that we're looking at. We've also been able to work on 5 housing projects across the county, and at home and SCCAP are not working on those projects, but we're supporting our partners in those efforts, which is improving the availability of affordable housing. We've also been able to work on some transportation options, and you'll see that the picture of the bus in that upper right-hand corner, and that's the Gettysburg-Hanover connection. And with help from the Adams County Community Foundation, Ralph Serpy was a key in this, and certainly the Adams County Community Commissioners. This project had been on the shelf for a number of years, but we were able to dust it off and really be able to meet with employers and find out what would be beneficial in a bus route between Gettysburg and Hanover. Not only does that provide other shopping opportunities for folks and ways to get to Hanover, and we know that these transportation options can be beneficial to the environment, but it also created a way for folks to be able to get to Hanover for employment, which is important. Knowing that there are opportunities for employment for local folks is critical. And we also know that Hanover is one of the largest sources of students for HAC Gettysburg's campus. So this bus route also brings folks here to be able to get to HAC. So this was a great win for us to be able to get this transportation option. It launched last March. And we actually, on our first trip on that bus, so it was our maiden voyage, we picked up someone in New Oxford, and when he had appointments in Gettysburg, he frequently had to walk. He was so excited to know that now he has an affordable way to get between New Oxford and Adams County for the appointments he has. So it's great to know that we're helping with those kind of solutions. Right now, a lot of our focus is on expanding broadband. So we're working with the county and our community partners on looking at that issue to try and figure out how can we strengthen broadband across our community. And not only is that helpful to families, and certainly we know that that's been important as folks are working from home and children are doing virtual learning during COVID, but it's also important to businesses like our ag community. And so trying to figure out how do we support that just builds a stronger community. And we're also working with the Adams Economic Alliance on economic development across the community and how do we better support our businesses. Again, working at the system level is just as important as working at the family level. It helps us be able to improve things across the county, which helps more families and helps all of us to be better and stronger. In Franklin County, we work with Franklin Together, and Franklin Together is a reentry coalition. So it is working to help as individuals are leaving the criminal justice system. We want to help them be able to leave forever. In Franklin County, courts, crimes, and corrections use 79 cents of every Franklin County real estate dollar. That's an incredible number. So we want to work to be able to shift that so there's not as much money needing to go to courts, crimes, and corrections, so it can go to other important community needs. So this initiative pulls together all of the partners who are working on reentry services, and we can support them. We also come up with solutions that help families, help individuals as they're leaving the criminal justice system. You can see our Lee, who is our coordinator in Franklin County, and she has one of our baskets as we find ways to help people get out of the criminal justice system and be able to move back into the community. This is just a basket that gives them some of the personal care items that they need, helpful in helping them to reintegrate successfully. This last year, we were able to work with Franklin County and got a mini grant. That grant allowed us to pay for housing costs to help someone get out of prison. So what you might or jail, actually county jail. What you might not know is when someone has a minimum to maximum sentence, they can frequently get out on their minimum if they have an acceptable housing plan. If someone doesn't have a housing plan, they'll be staying in jail for up until their maximum, at which point they would be leaving. So if we can help someone get out of jail early, jail costs in Franklin County are $82 per day. So if we can help someone get out early, so a grant of $750 to get someone out into an apartment, that in 10 days of staying in jail, that $82 would be $820. So if we can get them into an apartment, get them back to employed and working on their own, we save taxpayer dollars. So it's just one of the other ways that we can look at solutions. Our pilot project was really successful. We were able to get 17 folks out of prison early. And then provide services, support services, either with SCCAP services that might help them or through our partners who are really effective at working with folks who are returning citizens, returning to the community. Again, working at the system level, pulling together partners so that we're all working together for the same goal is just as important as working with individual families. It makes us a stronger, better community. SCCAP also does trainings and poverty simulations. This was a poverty simulation that we did for a school district. And this family, unfortunately, was evicted during the process. But at any given year, we do 10 poverty simulations and 20 to 60 trainings. Now, I have to say the last 18 months have been different. We haven't done any poverty simulations, and we've done just a few trainings, most of those virtual. So we are really excited about getting past COVID so we can go back to this. But doing trainings and poverty sims helps people to understand the complexities of living in poverty. And when we understand those complexities, we can all be working towards community solutions. So we think that our trainings, poverty sims, panels, community movie nights, all of those are important at educating and informing the community. Because again, the more we know, the better we can work on innovative community solutions and the better, stronger our community can be. You might also not know that SCCAP has earned Pennsylvania Association of Nonprofit Organizations Standards for Excellence accreditation and reaccreditation. So we've been accredited for 8 years. It's an ethics and accountability code for the nonprofit sector. We're one of 42 organizations across PA. There are 6 major areas of compliance with topics, 27 topic areas. It's a rigorous review. So not only do you have to submit a lot of documentation, I have 2 4-inch binders full of what we submitted each time for a PANO certification. But it also goes through a peer review and then a statewide review. And we're really proud of this. We're committed to having effective outcomes, to openness and transparency and high personal and professional ethics. It's important when you're entrusted both with government taxpayer dollars and with donor dollars. You want to make sure that you are open, transparent, and effective in your use. And we're strongly committed to that. Now to A Million Reasons to Give. So this is important for us. We've worked really hard I've been the CEO for the last 16 years. And early in my tenure in 2009, we had a budget impasse that really impacted SCCAP. At that time, we had to lay off 65 staff. We kept as many frontline workers as we could at that point so we could continue serving clients. We laid off all administrative staff, all supervisors, and then any non-essential, like weren't meeting food and housing needs for families. It was a terrible time. It's something I will never forget and probably taught me more about thinking about long-term stability than anything that's ever happened in my career. It was difficult for staff and it was incredibly difficult for clients. And so we went on a journey to really stabilize and to make sure that we weren't in that position again. And our communities have been so incredibly generous to be able to support us so that we are financially strong. The last budget impasse we had, there were no layoffs. Again, we've been able to change some of the ways that we work and build in efficiencies, and we've been able to make sure that there is a little bit of a cushion so we have cash flow as we wait for funding from government programs. Those are all provided to us on a reimbursement basis. So we provide services. Those payments don't come in for 6 to 12 weeks. So having an effective cash flow and certainly having a line of credit for an agency our size is really important. And our budget is between 8 and 12 million every year. So this year it's going to be a little bit higher just because of COVID and CARES funding. But being able to support that and that reimbursement model is really critical. And so as we stabilized our program, we wanted to move to the next level. And not only is it important that you have appropriate cash flow, but having discretionary funds at an organization that does the kind of client services that we do, knowing you can both innovate, you can work hard to make shifts in programming that meet the needs of families, even though that may change the way that you're able to get funding. You want to do what's most effective and compassionate and caring for the families that we serve with the greatest outcome. And so being able to have discretionary dollars that not only meet the needs of those individual families, needs that may not be met by other government funding, or being able to innovate so that we can make a shift in programming, or to keep a program open if there's a change in philosophy at either the state or federal level. Sometimes when there's a change in administration, the requirements or rules or funding streams all shift. So knowing that you don't have to close a program because there was a change in a state or federal administration allows us to have that continuity of service. It allows us to be able to braid programs in order to meet the best needs. And it allows us to be able to serve the very specific needs of the families we serve. That's what an endowment campaign for SCCAP can do for us. It can help make sure that we are appropriately staffed, that we can innovate, that we can do the right thing for local families in our community. And when you give to an endowment, that endowment provides a continuous discretionary dollars to an organization. So $1 million endowment will bring about between $45,000 and $50,000 every year to SCCAP forever. So, and as that endowment grows and as we work to grow that endowment, that amount can shift. That's life-changing for an organization. When you know you have those discretionary dollars coming in, that SCCAP and our board can decide how best to use that across Adams and Franklin County, is life-changing. And it helps us as an organization be stronger forever. I am so excited to think that the next person who sits in my chair won't have to struggle as much as I did in order to build effective funding, to know that this is a funding stream that will always be here, so that SCCAP can always be here to be helping families is just an incredible level of comfort and makes me so very, very thankful. Just to share a little bit about the numbers of families that we serve, this just lets you know across programs. You can again see that our gleaning program and food pantries are the highest numbers that we serve. But all the programs that we run work together to be able to serve families best. So why our endowment? So as I told you, that $1 million endowment will help build an effective infrastructure. It supplements unfunded programs. And of those programs that I just showed you, when we look at those, our gleaning and food pantries, our homeless shelters, our Circles initiative, the MLK Career Aid Project, all of those are unfunded or very low funded by the federal government. In fact, of those programs, our food pantries get a little bit of state food and our homeless shelters get a little bit of funding from the state. We have to raise the funding for all of those. So as we look at that, knowing that we can supplement those unfunded or underfunded programs is really helpful. It creates a flexible resource as we change to and adapt to changing needs. And it sets the stage for future endowment growth. Our overall goal is to have a $10 million endowment. That would bring in $450,000 to $500,000 every single year. That would be amazing for those who come after us. It would ensure that SCCAP is always here to meet the needs of families. And the important thing that I want you to know about SCCAP is we aren't a stagnant organization. We adapt as the needs of our community adapt. And we've really been able to show that through COVID. Having those kind of unrestricted dollars that allow us to do the right thing in our community is really critical to the work that we do and will change the way we're able to function forever. So how can you give? there's a couple ways that I think are really important. One is the Adams County Community Foundation Giving Spree. That's happening on November 5th. It's incredibly exciting. Every year that the Giving Spree raises about $100,000 for SCCAP. Again, that's unrestricted donations. This year, we're encouraging folks to give to our endowment. And so there's a couple ways that you can do this. And by the way, this is on our website. So you don't have to feel like you have to try and take notes now, but if you go to scap.org, www.sccap.org, you can see information about the Giving Spree and other ways that you can give. But you can mail your donation to the Adams County Community Foundation. Those gifts would need to get there by November 5th, so you want to mail them soon. You can also drop off your donations at the Giving Spree donation turn in, and that's going to be at the Gettysburg Times building on November 5th. That address will be on our website from 1 to 5, and we'll have staff there cheering things on. You can also make your donation online during the Giving Spree. So from midnight on the 5th until 11:59, you'll be able to make those gifts, and it's at the ACCFgivingspree.org, and that link will be on our website as well. What's lovely about the Giving Spree, the Adams County Community Foundation is who houses our endowment. So those gifts go directly there. But there's also a stretch pool with giving during the Giving Spree. And that means there are a pool of wonderful donors who have given funding. And that stretch pool, whoever the percentage of gifts that you get at the Giving Spree, there's a percentage of that stretch pool that comes to your organization. And last year we got about $4,000. So that's just additional money and allows you to give your gift and have it go a little bit further. But you're certainly not restricted to giving through the Giving Spree. You can give directly to SCCAP. So you can make your gifts directly. You can mail a check to SCCAP, and it's at 153 North Stratton Street in Gettysburg. And again, that's on our website. I know for those of you who are in Franklin County, I know that's a Gettysburg address, but that's just because that's where our fiscal office is. We have a full suite of services in Franklin County, and your donation can be designated towards Franklin County services. So just because the address is Gettysburg, it will still serve Franklin County folks. You can also give online at our website. So that's www.scccap.org. Or you can talk to a SCCAP representative to be able to give stock, securities, mutual funds, or other assets. Cheryl Brown is our Resource Development Director, and she'd love to hear your story and your reason to give. And she can help you make your best gift. Her phone number is 717-658-0961, or you can email her at cbrown@scap.org. So if you have any questions, certainly don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is mshreve@scap.org. Or to support our efforts, again, you can email Cheryl Brown at scap.org. So cbrown@scap.org. And once again, I just want to thank you. I hope that this has been informative to you and that you learned a little bit more about SCCAP, maybe something that you didn't know. And I want to just take a moment to say how very much I appreciate those of you who have given donations to SCCAP or who have supported us in volunteer efforts. It has made a difference in the lives of local families, and we really appreciate it. And I appreciate you considering making a donation to SCCAP's $1 million campaign. And thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
There's something going on in our community. People with heart and soul, helping those in need. Now SCCAP's got a big old dream, and they need our help with it. They're giving us $1 million reasons to give. that goes on forever.